Well, that was a basketball game, and that was a last play. What the hell was that? Jason Tatum coming out of nowhere on a cut, spinning around Kyrie, last second layup, Celtics win. It all happened so fast, I didn't even, I like couldn't fathom what I was seeing. There is an entire basketball game to talk about here, but that ending was something else. This series is going to take years off my life, man. I'm telling you. I mean, it seemed like the Celtics were going to run away with this thing, and then Kyrie proceeded to make, that corner long two over Jalen right in his face. He had, what, two threes in the fourth. One was, I believe, like over Tice, and another one was over Peyton Pritchard. One was definitely over Pritchard. It's tough to remember everything, especially in this game. He had like two ISOs where he just beat Tatum. Like it seemed like Kyrie was just going to steal this. And on the other end, especially in the fourth quarter, it seemed like the loss of Time Lord and just his gravity to the rim and the fact that you have to stay glued to him when he's around the rim, it seemed like it was affecting the Celtics offense more so than in the rest of the game because the spacing was just kind of rough and it allowed the Nets to load up inside. There was one play where KD had a great rotation to contest Tatum at the rim, and I think the Celtics inside finishing was just a little rough in the fourth quarter anyway, but yeah, it seemed like it was going in the direction of Kyrie stealing this. As far as the defense on KD and just the defense in general for the Celtics on the Nets, we saw them fronting the post on KD. We saw them being physical as hell with him, fighting around screens and getting away with a few fouls in the eyes of KD. What I thought was interesting is it wasn't a switch everything sort of thing. There were times where they were dropping, especially earlier in the game. They also dropped on Kyrie with Tice a few times, and I don't know if that's going to work. And Tice, I mean, he was +6 for the game. He was 1 for 6 from the field. Again, I thought the lack of Time Lord, the spacing hurt. He played about 20 minutes. We will see as the series goes along between Grant Williams, Derek White, Daniel Tice. What is the right thing there? Because I do feel like he does give the Nets somebody to kind of leave open. I mean, he was 0 for 2 from outside in this game. I haven't even talked about Tatum yet. I mean, with Tatum, I thought, sure, you're going to have, he had the sidestep three over Claxton. There was one where he had a smaller guy screen for him, and Patty Mills just didn't step up on the screen high enough, and he was setting screens himself, which allowed him to then get a little runway to the rim, and one of them led to a Marcus Smart corner three. That initial action started from the elbow. That was all great, but then the Nets put Claxton on him, and I mean, again, he had that sidestep three over him, but I do think the Claxton-Tatum matchup is something to watch as the series goes, because it wasn't even a matter of after a switch. There were possessions where Claxton just began on Tatum. And we'll see how far they want to lean into it as it goes. Drummond, I felt was not in a super duper drop defensively. He was playing up a little higher on stuff. And I'm sure as the series goes, the Nets will say to themselves, we're going to dare Marcus Smart and Al Horford to beat us. Between the two of them, Horford was 2 for 2 from outside. Smart was 4 for 9. Speaking of Horford, he was kind of amazing in this game. I mean, 20 points, 15 rebounds. He played 41 minutes. As the second half went on, I think they got into a little bit more of a switching defense. There was at least one possession I remember where he was on KD or he was part of double teams on KD, and they were successful enough. We'll talk about Dragic and Seth Curry and how they played in this. But Horford also gave them a little bit more juice when it came to taking advantage of a mismatch. Because, of course, the Nets still end up switching some stuff, and maybe he'll have, Patty Mills on him, or he'll have one of the smaller Nets on him, and 6 offensive rebounds, that's huge. There was at least 1 or 2 plays where he was just I got a smaller dude on me, I'm just going to take him into the post, one of which he got a lucky bounce on a hook shot that hit the back iron and dropped right in, but I want to say he had, Patty Mills or Dragic switched onto him there, so we'll see if bucket getter Al Horford continues in this series. To talk about Dragic for a bit, he was a little bit of a saving grace for the Nets, him and Nick Claxton. And I've talked about Claxton already. He played 31 minutes. Drummond played 17. With Dragic, that could be a sign of things to come. I mean, some of it's going to come down to shot making, but of course, Dragic just gives them more ball handling. I remember there was one play where I think he just pushed the pace super early in a half-court possession for the Nets, and they got something out of it. Anything that wasn't a Kyrie or KD creating the bulk of it, you'll take, right? And to speak on KD a little bit more, so there was a play at some point in the game, I don't remember where it was, but he got 2 screens. It was an initial screen, and then it was also a handoff from Drummond, and the look he got was decent, but it was also Drummond diving to the rim, and I think you can put Claxton into this, and it works as well. We will see how the Nets just create more space for him. I mean, sure, Daniel Tice stripped him one time early on like some drop coverage thing. You bank on that not happening as much, but the physicality is going to be there. They're going to be bumping KD all over the place, seeing what they can get away with, right? But even with that said, you could play this same exact game again. KD faces the same exact defense, and instead of going 9 for 24, he goes 16 for 24. So I don't think this is a matter of Durant's going to struggle in this series. But I did think it was interesting how they opened up the game and it wasn't immediately just switching everything. As far as whether they're ever going to go into like a hard trap, I mean, the one guy you look at to leave open in those situations, well, one is Claxton and the other one is Bruce Brown. So it's two guys. But then, that comes back to, will the Nets feel pressured to put an extra shooter out there, but then you lose Bruce Brown's defense and cutting. Although there was that play where Tatum and Horford had a big miscommunication and it led to Claxton wide open under the rim. Also, Jaylen Brown played in this game, and he was good. I remember that one post-up he had late where he just took advantage of what smaller dude switched onto him.